And our objective, my friends, is the hereafter, is the grave. It is the first night of the grave when the hisab, the accounting, will take place. We will be questioned. And that test examination for which Allah sent us in this dunya, this world, the conclusion of that, the result, will be asked. Will be asked. And on that the decision will be made. Until Qiyamah, the hereafter, that which direction will we go in. So it's very, very important that لَآيَاتٍ لِأُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ, Allah says, those people of wisdom, understanding, brainy people, you could say, are who? One is close to Allah. Who is the brainy person? And one is those who we think are brainy and intellectual. We think intellectual are those people, he in a few days made lots of money. In a few days he constructed big buildings. He's brainy, intellectual, clever person. He's got assets. He's got so many degrees. And he's made so much in so short space of time. We couldn't even think that my child would be so clever and intellectual. This is how we assess, isn't it? And measure. This is our standard, you could say, our basis. So what does Allah say? Close to me, the person of wisdom and intellect is who? The person of wisdom and intellect is that who Allah assesses as such. And that's for that reason Allah says, Ulil Albab. Say Subhanallah. So we should be those intellectual people who Allah Ta'ala defines as intellectual and people, not the people of those who the world say. Yeah, those people in the world, you say they're intellectual and brainy. No. Rather who Allah says. The people of Aql are those who Allah says. And who does Allah Ta'ala say has wisdom and intellect? Who are brainy? That these time spans and periods, those who have spent the time earning dunya, the world, to make this dunya, all the time spans, they've spent all their morning dunya, evening, even then is for the dunya, night time even, they're worried about the dunya. Material, afternoon time, material things, their whole fikr concern. Today, they look at the weather, what's the climate today? Can I go here or not? They look at the time, what's the time now? How many days left? How many time left? Because they are always measuring, assessing, can I run my market today? Can I run my enterprise today? Is it afternoon time? Is it raining now? Can I put the stock out? Concern, fikr. Allah says, those people who are mine, who have intellect and wisdom during the same time periods, they say, what is Allah's demand right now for me at this moment in time? Say Subhanallah. What is Allah Ta'ala instructing me to do right now? This morning time, what does Allah want me to do physically? In the night time, what does Allah want me to do? In the afternoon, what is it Allah Ta'ala requires from me? Every moment, hour, time span, period of time. Remember one point. Allah Ta'ala is putting demands on us. Allah hasn't left us free to do what we want. He hasn't sent us in this world just free to do what we want. These time periods during the day, Allah has imprisoned us. You can say, not imprisoned us, but He's given us a schedule, an agenda. Look, one is a ghulam. You have a worker. Always your worker, the ghulam's thinking that my malik, my owner, my master, what's my boss? What do I have to do now? Every hour he's alert. He's mentally alert. What's my boss saying? Even when the worker's sleeping, mentally he's thinking, boss. And the mu'min, even if he's sleeping, he's thinking about the hereafter. Thereafter. So for example, the worker say, shall I do this now? Maybe my boss wants me to do this. He's alert, obedient. So what are we? Allah says that I want your servanthood while you're in the world. Allah says, I want your servanthood. That you're not animals, just do what you want, graze where you want in these farmlands and put your mouth here and your nose here and eat this and that. This is mine, that's mine. They're animals, Allah says, who do this. Allah says, you are my slaves. Human beings, you are my slaves, you are my men. I want servanthood from you, obedience. I want such obedience, just like the ghulam. Every second the worker is thinking about the boss, the master. We should be thinking about our Lord, Allah. What's Allah's demand from me now? What should I be doing now? What does Allah require from me now? What should I do now? Wallahi, I swear by Allah, if we spend our life like this, very easy to have the mindset like this. First, we have to understand that it's not up to us. I'm not my wife's, I'm not my father's, I'm not attached to anyone. My life is not for anybody. My life is for who? Allah is for Allah, my life. First, make this mindset. Allah created me. Allah created me. He manufactured me. If He didn't create me, how would I have come into the womb of my mother? I had no alertness, no consciousness. How would I have come into the dunya without Allah's will? At that time you were not conscious. Allah says, you were alive, but you weren't conscious, but you were hungry in the womb of the mother, and you urinated as well. Who prepared all the solutions for that? Allah, the Rabb, the Master. And that's His quality. He is the one who preserves. And how did He preserve us? Allah said, from a small matter, from a small impure matter, and where Allah Ta'ala created then the body, it multiplied and grew. Allah says that I want that your servanthood should be strong. Because you are my servant, you are my ghulam. Why do you look left and right in the dunya? Allah says, you are my servant. I've sent you in the dunya on this philosophy, on this belief. This framework, you understand that every second is a time, a second of the day where Allah is demanding something from me. He wants something from me. And if I fulfill that requirement of Allah, subhanallah, then what does he become? He becomes the beloved servant of Allah. He becomes the wali Allah, the friend of Allah, and paradise becomes his, and he becomes Allah's friend, the hurs are his. Instead of the rewards, Allah becomes unhappy with that person. And Allah's unhappiness. Now look at the style here, look at the reaction here. Think. That when Allah becomes very unhappy, remember this point, when Allah is very unhappy, what does Allah do? Then Allah makes that person wealthy and rich, prosperous. Allah gives more prosperity to that person, dunyawi. He gives him ease in the world, comforts, luxuries, all of his desires in the world. You know, the person says, whatever I touch, it turns to gold in the world. I'm having a good time. His business starts to flourish. His turnover increases. He starts to enjoy life in the dunya. Because Allah makes him stronger in his enjoyment. Allah says, I don't want him to come towards tawbah now because I've closed the door for guidance him. Now I'll give him permanent azab of the hereafter. And this is the biggest and worst form of azab in this dunya. Allah has given various examples of this in the Quran. May Allah not allow this, may Allah forgive, that if the servant of Allah comes to this position of punishment, that Allah gives him complete, that he's disobeying Allah, he doesn't pray salah, he doesn't know modesty, no shame, doesn't know about halal, doesn't know about haram, lawful doesn't know about morning, evening, what Allah is saying. He's following his desires, enjoying luxuries, forward, behind, houses, cars, assets, whatever comes. Whenever he feels like he prays, when he doesn't want, he doesn't pray, and he's happy. Oh, Allah's given me money and wealth and comforts. MashaAllah, Allah, you've given me everything, but it's nothing. This is the worst punishment. And who is Allah most happy with? Subhanallah. That if you want to see that who is Allah loving and who is Allah happy with and pleased with, that he is immersed in poverty, he's immersed in difficulties, nothing's happening according to his desires, subhanallah, but he's in the sajda prostration in front of Allah. He never leaves Allah's side. He strengthens his relationship with Allah even more despite the challenges. He goes into more du'as, more supplication, more crying, more into sabr and patience. And before the ibadah he multiplies it, increases it more. And more difficulties then come to him. More challenges come to him. He does more ibadah after that. And Allah says with pride to the angels, that this person prepare for him Jannah in such a way that when he comes, he sees that what I did in the world and what Allah has given to me, Allah says, compensate this person. Make Jannah ready for this person. So these few days of life is a game of life in this world. This is not the standard of Allah giving you prosperity and reward that, oh, he's got more in the dunya and lesser. That Allah challenges the muflis, the person in poverty. Both are tested, the wealthy person and the poor person. And how do you get both these? You get Allah's pleasure through doing the right thing at the right time. Spend your time positively. Spend your time during the day the way Allah is demanding from us. Look, Ajib, unique point here, that the time that we spend in the day and the night according to Allah's desire and want, then Allah will give such a reward at the same time, such a reward that you haven't even done the action, but He gives you the reward of the action. You understand what I'm saying? For example, that Allah hasn't made you do the action, you wanted to, but that time you spend according to Allah's desire and want, Allah will give you that reward, even though you express His gratefulness most of all through salah. So whenever there's something you're happy about and you get a reward from Allah, immediately do an action, pray 2 rak'ah salah, nafil, as gratefulness to Allah. Be grateful, thankful to Allah. Great rewards come from that. Don't run around. Anything in the dunya according to your desire and you liked it, just step back, let me pray 2 rak'ah salah of shukrana, gratefulness, because Allah gave to me, let me thank Him through 2 rak'ah salah. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, use this example. The rest of the day, make a timetable. What does Allah want from me right now? What does Allah want me to do in this hour? Every moment, half an hour, Allah wants us to do something. If we do keep doing those actions, then the same way we will get the rain of mercies and rewards, that we haven't even done certain actions, like this example of Hajj and Umrah in the morning, but we'll get the rewards in our treasure chest. We'll get the rewards. Beautiful point this is, to become a wali Allah. that Allah says, Inna fi khalqis samawati wal ard, that this is valuable time. Every second of your life is valuable, precious, because we will receive the order from Allah and fulfill His instruction at that time. That's what we need to do. What does Allah want from me now? What's His instruction now? What's the agenda now? Allah says that in between I give you gaps during the day. Gaps for resting. Yes? Your gaps come in it. Salah, gaps come. There are gaps in the day, in between, in which Allah gives you some free time. What you do in the gap? That says that how should you fill the gaps? الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا وَقُعُودًا. This is what you should do, Allah says. During day and night, the people of wisdom, brainy people, الَّذِينَ يَذْكُرُونَ اللَّهَ قِيَامًا. Allah says that those people who remember Allah, is that when the gaps come, Allah make this a habit, Allah says, don't leave your day free. Gaps, hours, you will cease to get the reward. Make a habit that spend the time, immerse yourself in the dhikr of Allah, remembrance of Allah. Your heart, make it such, develop it. Every second, your heart is busy doing dhikr of Allah. There should be no gap between me and you, Allah says. No gap.